Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining RICOH Theta today for our latest webinar on RICOH Theta X and 360-degree photography for architecture, construction, and design. We're very excited to have Franco Albarran. He is the architect and owner of Albarran Architects, who is here to talk to us today a little bit about how he uses Theta and 360-degree technology in his work. So before we dive in, I wanted to let you guys know about an exclusive offer we're running today for all attendees. You can receive 30% off a RICOH Theta X and RICOH Theta Z1 if purchased with a subscription of RICOH360 Tours. This will be available via a custom web link that we will be sharing out after the webinar. So you guys can all take advantage of this exciting offer. I do want to note it's available only for US residents. But if that is a problem, please reach out and we can see what we can do. So just before we dive in, I wanted to give you a little bit of an introduction on RICOH Theta, just in case you're not familiar. Today, Franco will be talking mostly about the RICOH Theta X. This is RICOH's latest 360-degree camera model that launched last year. It captures immersive, high-quality imagery and video that users know and love from previous Theta models, while also including many firsts for the brand, such as a large touchscreen, interchangeable battery, and external memory card. This one is at a reasonable price point of about $800 USD. And like I said, features some special features. We also offer a couple other models, the Theta Z1. This is the flagship model, a little bit higher price point, but does have the highest image quality. And then the Theta SC2 and Theta SC2 for Business Edition that is a much lower price point and is a good entryway if you were just getting started with the 360-degree photos. You can learn more at theta360.com, and we'll certainly share out more information after today's session. Franco will also be going through RICOH360 Tours. This is RICOH's official virtual tour service that offers users a better way to add professional quality virtual tours and videos for their business. It's easy to use. You can capture content with your RICOH Theta camera, sync your images, and create a true-to-life tour in minutes, and then create a link and share that via email or social media with clients, friends, family, whoever you may want to be sharing with. You can find more on that on RICOH360tours.com, and we'll send out more information as well. And like I said, Franco will be walking through some of his exciting projects and tours that he's created. So without further ado, I'm excited to introduce Franco. He has extensive knowledge in custom residential architectural design and construction. He has an excellent construction discipline and coordinates interconnectivity in architecture and construction. His job site awareness brings a higher level of control through proactive steps that elevate the value of the project. His passion for design and construction have led him to be fully engaged in both disciplines of architecture and construction, and feels both disciplines are interconnected and provide feedback for one another. So he has been using RICOH cameras for a few years, recently started using tours as well. So we're excited to have him share a little bit more about his knowledge and work on this technology. I'll hand it over to him, but the Q&A should be open. Feel free to chat in any questions, and we'll either weave those in throughout the presentation, and we do have some time reserved at the end to go over any questions that you may have. So without further ado, Franco, I will hand it over to you to take it away.
Sounds great. Thank you very much for the lovely introduction, and thank you for having me, and thank you for joining the webinar today. My name is Franco Albarran. I'm the owner of Albarran Architecture and Construction, and we'll go through just kind of our process, how we work. So I'm an architect. I'm a licensed architect in the state of Texas. I started practicing architecture roughly around 30 years ago when I was an intern and studying at the University of Houston. And in the process of doing that, I came across a lot of kind of typical, I would say, stumbling blocks in the industry. And I always wanted to find ways to kind of resolve those issues in a way that was efficient and would streamline the project for the client. My background is extensively in residential construction, design and construction. I spent the first half of my career strictly focused on residential design, so designing high-end custom homes. And then throughout that process of designing, I noticed there was a gap between what we were designing and what was being built in the field. And so then I kind of wanted to bridge that gap, and I wanted to kind of make it more of a holistic approach for the homeowner. So about 10 years ago, we started the construction company, which then allowed us to then build the products we design. We're a very small company. There's 3 of us within what we do. There's myself, one other architectural employee, and then I have one construction manager. So just between the 3 of us, we manage quite a bit of work. We focus on 2 projects at a time so we can be efficient. Our projects tend to be very detail oriented, and there's a lot of kind of a curated service we work with our clients. So understanding that component, it's all client driven, it's all project driven. It's very tailored and unique. We, in the process, created what we call an architect-led design build process. And it was curated to deliver a great experience for the homeowner from beginning to end. You're going to be along with the individual who designed your project. And by that, I mean the same licensed architect, which is myself, who designed it, is building it with you. We coordinate the subcontractors, plumbers, electricians, HVAC people, carpenters. We really get involved with the homeowner. Most architects typically don't work in this fashion. We did it because we saw the need on our projects, and as our clients approached us about it, we decided to step into this space in this arena. Basically, how do we do it? So the way we do it is we have 6 steps. We have pre-design, design, cost estimating, then we create construction drawings, then we do a little pre-construction meeting, finalize costs, and then we build. Our typical projects are about 18 months in length from design to build, which is why we only do 2 projects at a time. So everything about what we do is built on a process and a system, a process to streamline and to build the most efficient home for the homeowner. That being said, one of the things that we really look for is where we're very proactive, forward thinking during construction. And by that, I mean, we think about what we're installing now, what we may be installing in 2, 3, 4, 6 months down the road. So then when we do get to those installations, we can do it in an efficient manner, and we can do it in a manner that we're not having to do a lot of rework for the homeowner. So that's very important to us. We believe in a lot of information, a lot of data, so we can make a proper decision, and the homeowner as well. And the Theta 360 allows us to garner that information and leverage it and use it down the road for not only what we're working on right now, but also years down the road. If we need to go back and have a service call, we know exactly where everything is at, which is what led us to the 360 camera. So our process is strictly built on providing true value to the client and to the project. And by that, I mean, again, efficiency in delivering the best product possible for the homeowner. We're going to go ahead and start kind of what I'll say with how we started. This is initially how we started documenting our construction projects. So it's a photograph, but it's still 2-dimensional. You can't really see up or down or sideways other than what's in your camera view right now. And so we document these items so we know exactly where can lights are at, outlets, and the electrical lines. So if a homeowner is going to hang a piece of art or come back and maybe install something else, or not accidentally touching these lines behind the wall. In the process of doing this, we realized it's a very static image, and we wanted to find a way to be much more efficient with documenting the work that was done, but also how do we convey that to our subcontractors? Because a lot of times, if we're not on site, we need to communicate with our subcontractors. We use these images and these pictures to do that. And it's a little bit difficult sometimes. If they're there, we're unable to really see everything on hand. So this is kind of how, again, we initially started our documentation process and what we do. So trying to find a way to be more efficient with what we do and find a way that we can kind of captivate everything into one. We learned about the 360 cameras. We initially bought another competitor, the camera. The issue we had with that camera was very dim lighting, didn't allow us to see everything properly. As you can see, these photographs, there's no electrical has been installed, so there's no recessed lights. So there's very dim lighting. We're relying on the lighting from the outside to come in. And we wanted to find a 360 camera that would take pictures, like high quality pictures with dim lighting to no lighting at all. Because that's usually when we document these pictures. So in doing that, we stumbled upon the RICOH Theta, and that allowed us to then really leverage that, capture that information, and then use it down the road as we're working on our projects. And we're going to pick one project in particular that we work through. And that'll be, so this is what we have as a 360 camera. This is a house that we did in Houston, Texas. It was built about 3 years ago. It was actually built in 2020 when we started construction, right during the pandemic. So not being able to be on site all the time allowed us to document these pictures, what was there, existing components. As you can see, I can spin it around and I can see from one continuous shot, I can see what's in the background, what's on the floor, and most importantly, what we like to see is what's up above, particularly mechanical ductwork, lighting. There's a gas line, there's a water line. So now these components is what's important to us, because as we work on the project, we don't want to, as we're installing drywall, or the homeowner wants to hang some mark, they're not then hitting a line behind the wall. So we do this for every single space in the house. Every single room gets documented just like this. And then the neat thing is it integrates into our Google Photos. So then on our phone, mobile device, we can then pull it off of Google Photos. We can share that with the subcontractors. We can see those pictures in real time, even though they were taken 3-4 years ago, they're still there. And we find oftentimes the subcontractors really appreciate that, because now they can see exactly what they're dealing with and we don't have to cut drywall. An example was on this particular house here. When we were working on that, we had to come back 3 years later, and we had to add dehumidifier in the attic. There's a little bit too much moisture up there, but it needs a dedicated line from this electrical panel up about 30 feet up above. So there was no way to do that without knowing where everything was at. And as we go to some of these pictures, we'll see this little orange conduit here goes all within the first floor, sinks its way all the way into the attic. And that, knowing where that was and where it terminated in the attic, allowed us to then run the line, run it across, and essentially cut one little square of drywall down into the panel. It was perfect, problem solved. It was probably solved in about 3 hours, which would have normally taken about a day's worth of work.
Very nice.
So I'm sure, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to chime in to ask, maybe I know you're going to go into more of your work and more examples, but would you be able to tell us a little bit more about the 2 camera models you use? How do those compare to some of the other cameras you used in the past? And then, between the 2, what are like the different features?
Sure. Okay. So we have the 2 camera models that we use. We have the Theta X, SE2. So this one is a better price point. This is one that we use just about every day in the field, or when we need to document information. I say this one is, we allow it to be out in the field because if something were to be damaged or we need to replace it, it's at a far more forgiving price that we can do that. We have replaced these in the past multiple times. This one is a bit, obviously much nicer. It's got a nice touch screen. It has a replaceable battery, so you can swap them out. This one you got to charge. You can also add a memory card to this, so it's nice. We buy memory cards and we swap them out as well. Versus with this one, typically what we do when we take the pictures of the SE2, we're downloading them immediately that same day, within a couple of days, to not really kind of build up the memory. One of the things that we found is that we started integrating this into our Google Photos along with this one, and then they work great. It immediately goes into our Google Photos, and it's not necessarily adding any more memory to these items. And for us, it's one less thing that I have to kind of transfer from the camera to our desktop.
Very nice. And to capture these photos, can you talk a little bit about the process? Do you typically set on a tripod? What's kind of your any quick shooting tips or techniques you may have?
Yeah, we typically have a tripod that we set up when we capture the photos. In this case, you can see me in the background. This is before I learned that there was a timer you can put on the camera. So this is in the early days of using the camera. But you can do a timer on it, set it up, walk away, and immediately it takes the photograph. It's pretty much a tripod, can function as a selfie stick down the road if you want. It's quite handy. We use it for a lot of different components. Our tripod integrates with our iPhone, so we can set up our iPhone on it. We can do time-lapse camera videos with it as well. So it's pretty seamless.
Very nice. And then any other examples or details about kind of how you've integrated this into your workflow that you want to share would be fabulous.
Sure, absolutely. So one of the ways that we integrated it, and we'll kind of go through one project that we worked on. And this particular project, what was nice about it is that this really, we could only solve this issue this was done during the holiday, 2022, during the Christmas holiday. The homeowner on this particular project had hired a company to level the foundation, and the foundation wasn't properly leveled. Sorry, we're having a bit of a technical problem here. See if I can get this. Yeah, so it wasn't properly leveled, and so we had a lot of issues that needed to be retrofitted. The engineer was not in the office for the holidays. I was around, as was the construction manager. So we took the 360 camera and we put it underneath the house, because this is a pier and beam house, so it's raised. And we were able to see exactly the foundation company who came to level some of the items that they did not do properly. And then we were quickly able to solve this problem. We were able to take these photographs, upload it to the Google Drive, share it with the engineer, and then we had a 15-minute phone call and resolve all the problems that we had with the project. And so when I talk about, we literally got underneath the foundation and we're able to take these pictures. So this allows us to capture, imagine trying to capture this with your phone. This allows us to capture everything underneath the house. The engineer knows exactly what's happening. Where the biggest issue was, this is an existing chimney, we needed to tie into it. So how were we going to do that without tearing down the chimney? And that was very helpful to do this with the 360 camera. And this is one of the big kind of culprits that wasn't leveled properly. As you can see, there's a huge gap, supposedly it was leveled. So this allows us to capture everything properly, seamlessly for the engineer, to then we can make a design assessment.
Very nice. And tell us a little bit about saving and sharing photos. I know you have them here displayed in Google Photos. So tell us about that process of kind of, getting the photos from the camera to Google Photos and then out to your clients.
Sure. Yeah, typically when we upload the photographs, they upload the photographs directly. When we use the camera with our phones, and then we're able to then transfer to our iPhone, which then is linked up to our Google Photos, and all the photographs go directly into there. We come back to the office, and as you can see, we create folders that then we share with the engineer. So in this case, 2009 Harvard Foundation 360 photos. And this is shared with the engineer, and then he can see them at any time that he would like, or the homeowner who was present for the call as well when we were doing this. And that's me underneath the foundation. So it was actually quite a bit of fun.
Nice. And then I'd love to hear a little bit more about how the RICOH Theta serves in the construction phase. I know you have a couple RICOH 360 Tour examples to share.
Correct. Yeah, so this is the RICOH 360 Tours. This is a house that we finished, we finished this house just before the pandemic. So I think it was February of 2020 when this house was complete. We took these 360 photographs. This was actually done probably about 4 months ago. We were able to go back and capture these photographs. They have it fully furnished now, the house. So It's this house is pier and beam, so it's raised, and it's kind of a mid-century modern type home design. So you can see they have very unique kind of lighting fixtures in the house, slope ceiling. And what we wanted to do was capture this in one continuous sequence, but this allows everybody to see exactly how open the space is, the kitchen. And then what we really liked when we were setting up the tours was if I wanted to click on the dining room, I click on it, and it takes you immediately into the dining room. It kind of does this little animation for it. And then again, from the dining room side, you can see kind of how everything opens up. Backyard. But it's kind of neat with the subscription. If you can have your logos. This is typically where your tripod sits, your camera. So you look down, it's usually you see the tripod or you see some black circle. In our case, we'll upload our logo. So when you are showing this and you are sharing this with individuals, kind of a branded content that you're able to share with everybody. And then, so if we go to the kitchen, and this is great for like real estate. If you have like a real estate property you want to sell or you want to rent, you can use these by all means. After kind of the homeowner seeing how this particular 360 tour fared out on their project, they thought, maybe we can kind of Airbnb our property. They live not too far from the football stadium. And I think next year the NCAA men's Final Four tournament is going to be in Houston. So this is probably like 10 minutes from the stadium. So obviously this tour would be great to if you're looking to Airbnb for that. And this allows us to capture everything. And everything works. And then I'll do the last one, which is the main bathroom in the back. And so we thank the homeowner for allowing us to come back after they've already moved into the home and been experiencing it for a while.
Can you tell us a little bit kind of on the process of creating this tour? So, from shooting individual 360 photos in the rooms and then importing them to the tours platform. Tell us a little about that process and how that works, within your workflow.
Sure. So when we took the photographs were on our Google shared folder. We're able to then, you can add photographs if you want. Any photograph, if you wanted to put in there, you can directly from your desktop so you can see. You can add it, automatically populates in there. And it's really pretty seamless. You wanted to edit the tour, you can edit it, you can add more information to it, you can remove items from it. It's pretty plug and play, pretty easy to navigate and work. You can even kind of view the tour as you can see how someone would view it. If they're kind of looking at it online, this automatically plays for them. So it's like a kind of video, but they can see everything. They want to click on this arrow, they can. And it'll take them into the dining room. Again, this is all set up and it's all part of the tours. And it works great. It's seamless. And you can see it's on autoplay. It's a nice speed. No one has to kind of play with it too much. And you can dial the speed up or down how fast you want it to transition as much as you want. So, but this is a built-in feature and we really enjoyed working on it with this particular project.
Nice. And so this is obviously of a finished space. Have you utilized tours in the construction phase at all? I know some of the examples you shared earlier were in Google Photos, but have you used tours yet in earlier phases of the project?
We have, and for some reason, this is locked up on us right now. So I'm not too sure of this. So let me go to, sorry about that. I think this is not letting me, just exit out of it there. So one that's on the construction that we started looking at, we can look at this one here. This is the same one as the one we were looking at earlier, the Sunset Residence. It's the exact same thing. So we looked at it here, and then you can click on it there. And it takes you straight into these items, to these spaces as well that you can navigate really seamlessly. And between the Google Photos and with this, we're able to kind of communicate with our client and our homeowner what it is that we're working on. And then with the subcontractors, they find that for them, the Google Photos is a lot easier and a lot quicker versus having to use the tours itself.
Evan, what is your, kind of team and client response been to this? Have they found it helpful? How does it, benefit not only your team, but your clients as well?
Our clients like it because in the end, we give them the 360 photographs for them to have, so they can see the components behind the wall. We also do 360 after we're done with the project, as we saw in the other project that we're looking at, the Tonawanda residents. So they have that as well. They can share it with family, they share it with friends. The subcontractors have access to it as well. The team enjoys it, again, because they can see everything that's there. But also, instead of us having to go to the job site and coordinate, let's just say this electrical line that's coming in here with the electrician, we can quite simply just pull up a 360 photograph and say, you're running it through here, can we run it on this side over here, down this way? And then we don't necessarily have to be on site to coordinate those details, and it speeds up the project versus having any kind of a delay. Again, our process is built on efficiency and being able to do things as efficiently and quickly as possible. And this allows us to kind of leverage that and to do that in that manner for our clients.
How would you say this has kind of reduced maybe trips to the job site or going to the office?
It's reduced it quite a bit. One of the things that we really enjoyed, that we really found useful, was when we were working during COVID. This particular house is in a part of Houston where they kind of regulated how many people could be on the job site at one time. We were limited to 5 people. So then some of our trades tend to be 4 to 5, maybe 6 people. So we kept it down to the max allowable. But knowing that, then when we took pictures, throughout the day, in the mornings before anybody got there, we were able to see the work that was done prior, what needed to be done. We can communicate with the team what needed to be done and not necessarily be there. And then it really created more of an environment where we were going when something needed to be handled kind of in person. But it allowed us to really kind of speed up the process. And more importantly, allowed us to document the process of what we're building and what we're doing for our clients.
Very nice. Definitely. I know the industry was impacted a lot by COVID, so definitely a good feature to know about with these cameras and the platform.
Yeah, and in the RICOH tours here, as you can see, it kind of populates in a grid. So you can you label these individually. Everything kind of populates for you. In Google Drive, if I go back to the Google, they look kind of the fisheye look that you would expect from a 360 photograph. And so this really makes it very easy to see and very kind of eye-catching. And the homeowner can click on that. And for the homeowner, they don't necessarily need to have anything in particular other than just access to the tour that we share with them.
Very nice. Were there any other projects or tours you wanted to walk through?
Yeah, so starting where we also use it in a way that so this is an example of a project that we were hired to. We just started this project. We're about to start it. So this is an existing house that we're going to essentially remodel everything upstairs. So it's an existing home that's about 35 years old. And then for us, we needed to go in and document existing conditions of what was in the space before we got started. And instead of taking pictures of all this individually, we were able to take our 360 camera and kind of take the photographs of everything for the homeowner. And this creates a great work of what's there, what's going to be remodeled. And then we can really kind of discuss scope of work, outline those details for them. And it just makes it so much easier. And then if they're meeting in our office, we're not having to, what was that condition like? What does that space look like? We're able to pull it up on here on our Google Photos or in the tours, and we can see everything we're going to be working on. So this project's in the design phase right now.
Very nice.
And then speaking of, when we say this is for the electrician, for when he goes out there, we take pictures of everything and we label what everything is. Again, so that way there's no question as to what we're working on. And this just goes straight to them. So this is obviously from our phone, but this just kind of highlights how we work with our subcontractors. So documenting the entire space makes it very easy. We still come out and measure, but in this case, we don't have to sit there and locate every single light, smoke detector, or outlet. It's all within the photograph for us.
And do you have any, you know, once you've taken these photos and uploaded them, do you have any like editing or, I believe there's a feature in Tours where you can enhance photos. Could you talk about those a little bit?
Correct. Yeah. So we go back to this one here, the Tunnel One, that you can enhance the photos here automatically. The image enhancing right here is so you can turn it off, so you can see it's going to be maybe a little bit dim, so to speak. May not be quite to your expectation, and then we just enhance it. And it just kind of brightens everything up and makes it so much nicer. And this is a great feature that's built in to the tours. And we think it worked very well. And again, nice and crisp, especially if you're going to use this for the tours for real estate. If you plan on maybe, if you're a real estate agent, you want to sell the property, you're going to lease it, this definitely helps out with that and showing it in the best light quality.
We have one question in from our audience right now. I'll go ahead and throw out.
Okay.
He's curious about two different camera models considering purchase. I'm not sure if you've played around with the Insta-1 RS in comparison to RICOH Thetas. Is the Insta-1 a 360 camera you've played with at all?
No, I'm not familiar with that camera. I will say we looked at another. We had looked at another one. I think it was a Samsung camera. I know there's quite a bit of cameras out there. Our research led us to these just because we were looking for something for specifically in dim lighting, and this had the best reviews out of all of them.
Excellent. And this person is considering photographing real estate in particular. I think this tour that you just showed of the finished space is a good example. Do you have any tips about shooting the space, once it's complete, perhaps as like camera position or lighting, anything like that you could share?
Sure, absolutely. So one of the things that we do a lot is we always think about just, what are we capturing with our images? Obviously, this kitchen was very cluttered. So we were able to get there ahead of time, clean it up a little bit. Actually, there's a lot of it behind the island. And then everything is so open. So turning on all the lights. In our case, we really lucked out. We had a nice sunny day outside, so a lot of natural light came in. But then kind of just staging the house, and by that I mean pillows that were already there. We kind of moved them around a little bit. So different components of the home that are going to show it as well as you can. That's kind of the best tips. And then if we come over here, just thinking, how do I want to show this space? Well, it's a dining room, so we kind of just centered it on the kitchen, on the dining room table. And the table is a very unique feature, has a very unique pattern to its structure underneath it. So we thought, this is a great something to kind of also showcase. But it's centered on the table, kind of lines up with the kitchen. So trying to put you in the space that's there, even though you're not there. It's how can we transport you to that space three-dimensionally without really being there, and viewing this either through your phone or viewing it through your desktop.
Excellent. Before we dive into some audience Q&A, Any other tours or projects you wanted to share before we open it up?
I mean, in terms of the projects, these are the projects that we have. We have other projects that say that they tend to be more, or the pictures aren't as glorious to look at. They're more construction photos. Again, we started using the 360 camera as a way to capture items behind the wall. So elements, mechanicals that aren't exposed. And in the process, we've learned that we can actually use this camera in other ways that we hadn't thought possible. And so it opens up other avenues for us when it is a finished product. And by that, I mean, we no longer, if we wanted to do a 360 photograph, and maybe we had to hire a special photographer to come out with special equipment. This allowed us to kind of do it on our own. And in about 5 minutes, you can really learn how to do this quite easily. And it's been a great tool to use. And it's one of those things that you can use it for work, you can use it for pleasure. But this made us see kind of post-production. Well, now that we're done with the project, how can we really use this to document the spaces we create for our clients?
Have you started using these in marketing or anything? What's kind of like the end use of these completed homes?
So the goal, now that we have these tours set up, our goal is to really share that with our clients and share it with our potential clients. But also we want to find a way to kind of leverage this and put these on our website, but then it's there. And then if people wanted to click on the link, go to the tour. So we do want to incorporate that into what we're doing currently with our marketing. The marketing side of it is, I will say my team probably, the Tours has a great app. I mean, the Theta app is a great app you can work with, and you can do quite a bit with it on your mobile phone. You can do some animations with it. So there's a lot to offer, and there's a lot that it can do. And like I said, it kind of opened up our eyes to other things that we can do with it, other than just strictly capturing construction photos.
Excellent. We have another question from the audience that's working on a historic house museum setting and would like to include pop-up descriptions for individual objects, artifacts, or spaces. Have you used such pop-ups or on-screen text to provide descriptions or orientation? I know I saw them denoting different rooms, but if you could dive into that a little bit more.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear that last part.
Oh, sorry, just if you could just dive into the text displays a little bit more.
Sure, of the tours?
Yes, I believe they're wondering if you can customize like pop-ups or descriptions on certain items or.
Yeah, so right here we can, so if you wanted to customize it, you can, sorry, this is a little bit slower. So you can edit the photo name here, anything you would like to edit it here within the tours. And you can add the pop-ups you can add to it are going to be these components here when you're clicking back and forth. You can add these anywhere you want within the tours. You just set it up and you can, if you wanted to go straight into this particular space over here, you can. In terms of other text, that's kind of free floating text. We have not experimented with that. We find that what we like to do is try to keep things as clean as possible because we like the work to kind of showcase itself and not necessarily have a lot of distraction for our clients or potential clients.
Excellent. I believe that answers it. And we have another attendee, Chris, curious if it's possible to extract a still photo from a tour, thereby eliminating the need to take still photos.
So I think, it's an interesting thing because I'm sure you can screenshot these to create a still photo. I will say that if I go back to this is what populates when you have a 360 photograph. It looks just like this kind of a fisheye lens. And what ends up happening is that before you have to have a special viewer to see these, with my understanding that this is what we would do years ago. And now Google Photos has kind of built that into the Google Photo app. And so it's built in automatically. And then if you wanted to, you can still do a print screen from here. You can save as, or if you're on a mobile device, you can screenshot it from your mobile device as well. So you can do one at an angle like this if you would like, or just like this, whatever you prefer. But an automatic, what's nice about these Google Photos and the Tours is that it automatically populates it for you in a way that's three-dimensional.
Excellent. On to our next question. Are there any other projects or situations that RICOH Theta has helped you in a unique way, such as solved a problem, captured something you didn't notice?
Yes. So the way RICOH has helped us on our projects in a very unique way is, one, it allows us to capture these photographs like we mentioned earlier. But I think what I like about it is our process is built on being efficient and streamlined, but also quality, and it's very personalized service. And so then when our clients see us with like the Theta X, and they see something that's very nice, very streamlined, very nicely designed, easy to work with, the sense of quality kind of is conveyed not only what we're doing, but the products that we use to then render that service. A lot of what we say is not only the problem solving that we do, but it's how we solve that problem, how we deliver that problem solving. And that's by being forward thinking and being very personalized service, but then partnering with particular vendors or certain products that kind of share that same mentality, kind of integrates into our workflow. And so it also makes us look better at what we're doing, even though we're very good at what we do. But when we use products like this, the homeowner knows this is an individual who cares about their craft and what they're putting together in my home, and that's someone I want to work with.
Excellent. Have you noticed clients preferring the 360 photos versus traditional photos?
Actually, I have in the last maybe year or so, we've seen more of it. It's been more prevalent, I think, in our industry in the last maybe year and a half. We've seen more of that happening, especially during COVID. A lot of people used it. My understanding was to kind of just keep tabs on the job sites, kind of like having a camera there all the time. We didn't really use it for that purpose in the beginning, but we see it kind of shifting a little bit in how people in our industry use it, architecture and construction. We're a hybrid, so we don't particularly just use it for one or the other. We use it for both. And I'm seeing that this is now going to be kind of a standard of how everybody operates and functions. We've been taking pictures behind the walls for the last 10 years. And then so it's constantly finding the next thing that allows us to do that in a better, efficient manner. And so I'm eager to see if RICOH is going to come out with an even fancier camera, so to speak, that will allow us to really capture something unique. But it definitely plays in well to what we do, and we see the industry kind of being a part of it as well, or eager to kind of bring it into their workflow.
Nice. And yeah, have you seen since the pandemic, I guess, a spike in the need for this type of technology?
We have. I've had colleagues of mine that I work with ask us if we see, what cameras we recommend. Like I said, we've used some other competitors. We're quite happy with them. We've actually lent some of these to some of our colleagues to use and kind of test drive on their own to see how easy it is to use. So it's a great product. And I think this is going to be kind of an industry standard for everybody moving forward, particularly in construction, because the need to want to document what's behind the wall, should you need to go back, like the example I used where we had to add a wire from the attic all the way down to the first floor. That's, in knowing where those components are, just makes it a lot easier, and it's less disruptive for the homeowner or the client. So those are the things that people are going to start seeing the value in that pretty quickly. And I think you're seeing more of it trending in that direction.
Nice. Couple other audience questions coming in. Sure. Someone's curious if they can use augmented reality glasses to display projects to clients. Have you experimented with that at all as you're showing these?
We haven't experimented with that with the photographs. One of the things that we are experimenting with right now is we're using software that allows us to do that. So we use 3D modeling software, and within our software, we're able to model the house on the outside, on the inside. And then we're able to kind of do walkthroughs through the house or the outside of the house. There was an intern that we worked with over the summer last year who was basing his thesis on kind of virtual reality, augmented reality. And he had goggles, and you wear the goggles and you're in that space and you're walking within that room, you're walking within that space. And that's something that we're looking to, how do we incorporate that to what we're already doing? But it's a little bit of one of those components to us that sometimes it can get a little too realistic, and it may kind of shut down some design ideas that we would kind of still want to work through before we're ready to present that level of detail.
And they were curious of any programs on that front that you've experimented with. I know you mentioned a couple 3D modeling programs.
So yeah, the program we use to model in the office or projects is called Revit. It's owned by Autodesk. It produces AutoCAD, which is how AutoCAD is kind of an industry standard in terms of it's been around for 40, 50 years. Revit was a standalone software that was bought out by AutoCAD. Now it's integrated into one. We use that software for everything, two-dimensional plans, 3D plans, and then we handle various 3D modeling and kind of a touch-up software that we use. You can use Inkscape, you can use 3D Max. Revit, the nice thing about it is that you're basically building a model or a framework, then you can just import to any other software to then render it out the way you would like to render it out. And so you probably have there's another one called Rhino for 3D modeling, also can do some of those items. There's quite a bit of software out there, and they're all going to kind of work within the Revit family. The one we're looking at is Inkscape and how that would work and kind of integrate to what we're doing.
Excellent. Another question, do you make regular use of the floor plan features, and how are these used in your business? Do you take tape measures to support the measures available through the floor plan feature?
We have, so if I go back to the RICOH one here, let's see this one here. So we have a floor plan feature here. What we ended up doing is we ended up kind of creating our own. We took our existing drawing of what we were working on, we put it in there as a PDF, and then we just linked the photos to it. That allowed us to kind of, for everyone visually to see where we're at, point of reference within the floor plan. It does have a floor plan generator within it. This particular project, I think it was a little difficult because this entire backside of the house was missing. So you can do the floor plan generation, but oftentimes we already have these floor plans generated. So we just kind of import what we have into the tour, makes it easier for us. And we have done some in the past, and there's even one that was kind of a sample that came with it. And then this can easily do a floor plan generation as well. And this gives you a sense of what it looks like once it's generated. And then if you were to click on it. So again, the RICOH Tours can do all this for you.
Excellent. And we have a couple minutes left here. If anyone has any other questions for Franco, feel free to drop them in the chat. Or Franco, if you have any closing thoughts, I think we covered all of our bases.
Yeah, I just wanted to highlight again that the 360 camera is I think for those in the AEC industry, architecture, engineering, construction, or real estate industry, it's kind of I'll see it as an industry standard, kind of moving forward. I think for realtors, what we've seen is they can use it and they can upload a tour virtually. I know there's some, Houston has what they call HAR, Houston Association of Realtors. They have kind of a built-in feature to their website that I'm aware of other markets maybe don't. But you can import these 360 photographs, and you can really kind of show your property in a favorable light. We really enjoy the camera, and we enjoy the 360 that it offers us, and kind of how we document that space, how we use that documentation down the road. And the homeowner appreciates it because they're able to see everything behind the wall, components, and when they're putting things up, and they're not worried that they're going to be creating a mistake or hitting a plumbing line coming down the wall.
Excellent. I don't see any last questions in the chat, so I think that wraps it up for us today. Thank you again, Franco, so much for joining us, sharing your knowledge on the industry as well as how you utilize RICOH Theta in your work. We found this very helpful. And to everyone who joined, thank you for taking the time. Like I said, we will follow up with more information on the exclusive discount for attendees, as well as RICOH cameras and tours following the webinar.
All right, well, thank you guys for having us, allowing us to be on the webinar and to share our experience and how we integrate this into our projects.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Franco.
Thanks.